Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the Super Tuesday delegate map. All right, so specifically what I want to talk about today is we're going to talk about how Biden and how Sanders, how Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders got their votes in Super Tuesday, and what it means for the future of this 2020 presidential Democrat primary race, okay? Because there's a lot of messages here. Let's dig into it, okay, because it's important. All right, I think there's a ton of... I think we could be looking at the future right here. Like, I think we already know how this is going to play out, okay? And also, I think this gives us a lot of clues on why certain things happened, why Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg were literally willing to throw their entire campaigns away overnight, abandon all their supporters overnight. Like, and this is very real. You can go find tape of Amy Klobuchar talking about continuing after Super Tuesday on Sunday, and on Monday she's like, "I'm out. Vote Joe." Like, it was that fast, right? Because there were meetings in rooms, no two ways about it. Because the blue power base was like, "Oh my gosh, Bernie's going to walk away with this, man. We cannot let." And this frustrates me because essentially what the blue power base was like, if we put Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Mike Bloomberg, Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders up for election in Super Tuesday, if we don't clear the board and make sure that like half the people on the board aren't even available for a vote, then oh my gosh, the American people might actually decide who's going to be president. Like, who? Nobody wants that. Like, so the blue power base, they met in some back rooms and got some stuff done. Like, I don't think anything illegal happened. It was just good old fashioned political influence, but that still matters. Like, if you ain't read Machiavelli's The Prince, you better read it. Like, and if you read it like I have 7 times, you better read it again, right? Like, because it is for realsies, right? Like, it matters. All right. Now, actually, Prince talks about some things that are quite illegal, but he talks about things that aren't too. So here we go. Okay. So let's talk about this map. So the numbers are the numbers. I'll give you the numbers. Biden, by the way, everything I'm talking about, this is for 1,006 votes counted. These are the numbers as of the time of this video. At the time this video was shot, there were 1,006 delegates of the 1,350 delegates that were up for grabs in Super Tuesday. Again, it takes forever to count these votes. And it's one of the biggest problems we have in politics right now is nobody's talking about the actual full picture because it takes so long to bring about the actual full picture. Serious problem. It's a whole video in and of itself. Maybe I'll talk about it at some point. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so basically you have the numbers. So 513 Joe Biden, 435 Bernie Sanders. That's the delegate count from Super Tuesday. That's what got won. Okay, now that seems like, oh, that's not bad. Bernie did fine. He's still in it. No, he's in big trouble. Bernie Sanders is in big trouble. Here's why. Almost all of Bernie's delegates came from one source, right? And it ain't a source that is going to bring that should warm the cockles of anybody's hearts. All right, here we go. California. All right, California coming into Super Tuesday was huge. It was really, really important. It really reshaped Super Tuesday. It really reshaped 2020 elections. One of the biggest things that happened in the 2020 election was California jumping into Super Tuesday. Because it was like 25% of all the votes. It's huge, right? Well, guess what? California loves Bernie Sanders. Duh. Like, super liberal state loves super liberal candidate, right? The problem is, this is what the blue power base was worried about. They're like, hey, Bernie's out of touch. I'm seeing what they're saying. Like, I kind of get it. I get it, blue power base. They're like, hey, ain't nobody, like, I think the blue power base is going, nah, man, like, we got to be real here. Ain't no Americans voting for a socialist, right? And that's where we're landing. Basically, Bernie is really out of touch with the American people in that, he has been a socialist for a long time. And I mean, he is really out of touch. I mean, just think about the structure of his campaign, right? He's a self-avowed socialist running in an American election, right? We went, we had wars against the Soviet Union, right? Like it's for real, right? We have fought communism around the globe, right? And socialism is the main ingredient of communism, right? Like it's a thing. All right, next, so that's a big one. The other thing is, like, people keep forgetting this, and Bernie's like more than willing to forget it. He's not even a Democrat. He's not even a registered Democrat. He's an independent, right? Like he's a registered independent. Like I'm like, whoa, that's really something. Yeah, that's wild, right? So like he doesn't even sign on to the Democrat playbook, right? So he is really out of touch with the American people. He is incredibly liberal, which means you're going to have a very hard time finding 51% of America that's going to sign on to your liberal ideas, because the Democrats split into moderates, progressives, and liberals. And Bernie ain't a progressive, and he certainly isn't a moderate. He is absolutely a liberal. California is super liberal. That is like one of the most liberal states in America. I think the only state that beats California for being liberal is Massachusetts. Excuse me. That's about it, right? So that's a problem, because basically what that means is, if you look at the map, the vast majority of Bernie's win came from California, like 78% of it, right? That means that he can only win in super liberal states. There aren't that many. Look at Biden. You know who won for Biden? You know who lifted Biden on their shoulders and carried him to victory in Super Tuesday? The South. It is amazing. The South turned out for Joe Biden. Now, this is really fascinating for a lot of reasons. One, what the heck does Joe Biden have to do with the South? Absolutely nothing, right? Like that dude's from Delaware, like Wilmington, Delaware, which is in my backyard, right? Like I get sushi in Wilmington, Delaware. That's not a joke. That's not a euphemism. Like, I get sushi in Wilmington, Delaware. There's this great sushi place in Wilmington, Delaware. It's near a Harriet Tubman statue, like super awesome Harriet Tubman statue. It's really, really cool. Wilmington, Delaware, like, he ain't got nothing to do with the South. So I have no idea how Joe Biden won the South. But they turned out for him. They turned out in droves for Joe Biden. The other thing that's strange is, I thought the South was done mattering, right? Like, the South, no one even talks about the South anymore, right? Is there a South presence? Like, does the South matter in America anymore? And I thought it was really over, like, in that the South wasn't the South, in that it's just America now, right? Like, any presence the South has is gone. Like, they don't sit on porches and just drink iced tea anymore. Like, they don't, like, hunt partridges with, bloodhounds and, like, do Southern things. Like, like the best rap in the world comes out of Atlanta. Like, it's like, that's not a Southern thing. Like California, it's not Southern. Texas, it's really not Southern. It's a huge tech state now. Atlanta, good Lord, that is a major, that's a major tech hub. They are a modern city. That isn't a South vibe. And so, but here's the thing. If you look at it, Southern states decided that Joe Biden wasn't going to disappear. They went and got him out of the political dumpster and like dusted his suit off and said, here you go, America. This guy still matters. That's important. The South decided that, right? Like, that's pretty incredible, because I thought the South had just blended into America, and, and there really was no North or South anymore. I thought America divided into coastal elites and heartland stalwarts, right? But it looks like the North-South divide is still there. Not I shouldn't say divide as in we are divided, but that there's still a Southern presence. There's still a Southern voice, right? That the South has a unique voice. And they were very clear, right? They were like, hey, take the coasts off, right? So, and this sounds super weird. This is just totally my opinion, right? Georgia ain't the South no more. Georgia's like a major, like, money state, tech state, coastal elite state, right? Like, and then And then Florida, forget it. Of course they're coastal elite, right? California, coastal elite. And Texas, too much money, too much tech. They're not Southern. Okay, like they don't have a Southern vibe. They don't have that Southern presence, in my opinion, right? But they're still Southern states, and I didn't think there was enough of them, or they had enough of a distinct voice to say anything that mattered, right? I was wrong. The South spoke for Joe Biden, and the South just pulled him out of the political dumpster, dusted his suit off, and presented him to America, and made him not just relevant, but frankly, there's a really good chance they made him the next president of the United States of America. Because looking at these numbers, Bernie is already losing, right? Super Tuesday made Bernie a loser, right? Bernie is losing the race right now, right? And he's been leading it for the entirety, right? From all the early states, right? The early state, with New Hampshire and Nevada and Iowa and South Carolina, he was doing great. Right now, actually, things did start to turn for Joe Biden, even in South Carolina. Yeah, that's true. But the reality is, right now, Bernie is losing. And frankly, with Joe Biden sweeping virtually every state but California, and then Bernie winning California and virtually nothing else, that really validates the blue power basis theory that Bernie was a deadlock loss to Trump, and that Joe Biden has a better chance at winning against Donald Trump. And I do think, I hate to agree with him, I do think that the blue power base is correct. There is a much better chance that Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump than Bernie Sanders. But that much better is literally, Bernie had a 1% chance of beating Donald Trump. Joe Biden has a 2% chance of beating Donald Trump. That's a big difference. Like, it's 100% difference. But man, like, I don't know, 1%, 2%, like, Joe Biden is a much stronger candidate, like, not just figurative, like literally stronger candidate than, and frankly, that's no longer a not irrelevant concern. Like, strength is literally a really big concern. When you're gonna have an 80-year-old president, like, you're looking at their bone structure. Like you're like, oh boy, is this gonna last? Right? Like let me tell you, America is buying a car, and guess what? We ain't going to any of the new car dealerships. We are going to the used car lots, right? Like, and we are getting the oldest car on the lot, right? And we're like, oh man, okay, like, this, what does this burn? Like, diesel? Like, it's like, oh wow, okay, yeah. So I'm convinced. Super Tuesday really showed Bernie is very, very, very weak, and Joe Biden, he's gotten a stamp. He got the stamp from the South. That's pretty amazing. And the South still has a distinct voice in politics. Those are two things I learned from Super Tuesday. What did you learn? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.